Mamagwazi Hopa, Yumatapo Come, Situjin Katani Training, Gigi Timotis, Kato Pamam and Wetsi Ashton, Skawis, Kayu, Skayus Timishito, and Asha Chassis, Coaching, Tawa Hopa, Wetsi, Stoyasht. Tawa. Thank you very much, Chairman Simpson, Ranking Member Pingree, and members of the subcommittee. I greet you also in our Karis language, asking you how your day was, and I hope that you, your loved ones, and all your relations are in good health this morning or this afternoon. My name is Charles Riley. I'm the governor of the Pueblo of Acoma in New Mexico. In my written testimony, I set forth specific recommendations and requests, but at this time I would like to speak more broadly and welcome any questions. First, the Acoma people are an ancient people. Acoma, Sky City, the original name is Hauku, which means a place prepared, has been our mesa top home for over 1,000 years, making it one of the oldest continuously habited communities in the United States. As represented in the canes we carry given to us by Abraham Lincoln, we share a unique government-to-government relationship with the United States. The Lincoln canes were specifically presented to every Pueblo governor over 150 years ago to acknowledge our sovereign authority over our lands and our people. This cane is a physical embodiment of the recognition of our status and of the commitment of the United States to protect and respect our sovereign rights, as well as to support the well-being of our communities pursuant to federal trust responsibilities. Like other tribes, we appreciate the subcommittees for their bipartisan efforts to protect the BIA, IHS from federal funding cuts during these recent fiscal years. Second, our water settlement has been reintroduced, and we ask this subcommittee to support full funding for Indian water settlements which promote economic development and water security for our future. Third, in 2020, President Trump assisted Acoma and other tribes in the return of ancestral human remains and associated funerary objects from Finland. President Trump also played an integral role in supporting the Safeguard Tribal Objects of Patrimony Act, or commonly known as the STOP Act, which Congress passed, and we asked this subcommittee support in urging this administration to issue regulations that were mandated by the STOP Act but were never promulgated. In addition, we asked this subcommittee to provide additional funding for the support of the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, as well as funding for the implementation of the STOP Act, and additional funds for tribal historic preservation offices. These funds are needed to ensure the protection of our land's most sacred and historic objects and ceremonies. Fourth, we request that this subcommittee provide funding for a resource management plan amendment and implementation of programmatic agreement for the Bureau of Land Management Farmington office. The current plan is severely outdated and does not reflect modern oil and gas technologies or techniques, and an update is needed to ensure protection of our cultural sites around Chaco Canyon. A programmatic agreement is needed to ensure the agency's Natural Historic Preservation Act obligations are met in a streamlined yet compliant manner. Fifth, we ask this subcommittee to dedicate IHS maintenance and improvement and other facility construction funding to the Hauku Health Center to offset significant repairs needed for this facility to become operational. Last year, during the subcommittee hearing, I informed the subcommittee that Acoma was essentially forced to take over the healthcare system there because of lack of services, lack of personnel, and it came to the point where we just finally said we have to do this for the well-being of our citizens here at Acoma. The Pueblo assumed control of the IH facility in October of last year and was forced to spend its own funds and make critically needed repairs. As an example, due to chronic underfunding, the facility lacked hot water in a hospital. Plumbing issues, deterioration of the structure. We were not allowed to enter the facility until they actually turned the keys over, so we didn't know what we were walking into. We just knew we had to take it over. That is why we were asking for some funding dedicated to the Haku Health Center so that we can rebuild and move forward and improve our healthcare system for our people. Finally, the Pueblo strongly urges Congress to increase funding to properly staff the BIE, Bureau of Indian Education, and the Indian Health Service. These agencies and their respective employees are instrumental for the United States to honor its unique trust responsibilities and obligations to the Pueblo and other tribal nations. While the Pueblo does not oppose establishing an efficient federal workforce, federal policies aimed at reducing the federal workforce have constrained the capacity and the effectiveness of federal officers serving tribal nations. The Pueblo has experienced significant delays from federal offices in fulfilling its responsibilities and obligations, caused, at least in part, by reductions in federal staff and resulting in overbearing workload placed on remaining federal employees. For example, the Pueblo has waited years for the BIA to place land use trust, which has upheld efforts between the Pueblo and the Bureau of Land Management to effectuate a land exchange to reroute the Continental Divide Trail to the El Malpai Visitor Center in the city of Grants, which would enhance public safety and promote tourism. Further, the Haku Health Center is a vital source of health care to the local community, but does not receive adequate funding to fully staff physicians, nurses, and other key positions. That concludes my testimony. Thank you for your time. More topics and more details can be found in my written testimony, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I also extend an open invitation to members of the subcommittee and your colleagues to visit Acoma. I would be more than happy to host all of you whenever you'd come out, and I really do encourage you to come see the other side where we as Pueblo people have a very unique landscape and a unique form of government.